If we could go to item 17, which is the Napier-Gisborne rail line update, and if I could ask Nick to come up to the front, please. And good afternoon and welcome, Nick. So everyone's met Nick, I think. You've been here a few times. Welcome. Right, I'll hand over to you. An update on where we are with the Napier-Gisborne rail or Napier-Warra rail discussion, please.
Right, thank you, Fenton. Where we're at now is we're very close to being able to present a deal to council, and we've said to KiwiRail that by the end of this month, as in tomorrow night, we'll give them an indication of whether or not we are going to present a positive or a negative indication. So what we have committed to is a confidential discussion in the meantime, so I can't go into too much detail without breaching that confidence, but we have come a very long way, and KiwiRail have been very open, and our discussions have been very robust, and we've come a long way. So whilst we are not there, we're very close. So I'm sorry I can't be a lot more specific, but there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work being done in the last sort of 3 to 4 weeks, which is coming to a close in the next sort of 48 hours. So sorry I can't be a lot more specific, but other than saying we're getting very close. So.
Can it just give us an idea, without betraying any commercial confidences, what the plan of approach might be from here towards the objective to bring something to the council?
Really, there are two quite critical numbers to make the whole thing work. One is the number from KiwiRail and what it would cost to provide the service initially, and secondly, the forecast of volume going forward. So initially the volume will be quite low but build quite quickly, and the financial model will show that if we were to proceed, then the first year or two would not break even, and then it would start producing some results thereafter. So in order for the council to make a decision on it, that financial model we can put together very quickly. The model itself is built, but the inputs are still getting nailed down.
Are we still going all the way to Gisborne, or was, because I heard in the Goss that we're going as far as Nuhaka? That's the first thing. And if you are going all the way to Gisborne, we saw those photos of a slash and knocked out some more rail. Has the capital cost of fixing the rail increased, and by what?
And all of the modelling that we've done to date is based on bringing logs from Wairau to the Port of Napier. And to Wairau, in terms of offering the service, the line itself is in good condition as far as Opatama at Mahia, but thereafter there are large washouts which are in the millions of dollars to fix. And with the volume of cargo available here and now, there is no financial way that I could see that working. That might change if a new large wood processing facility started in Gisborne, but that is not a here and now opportunity, and at the moment any sort of financially viable rail option stops when you start having to replace big washouts. So I can't see any further progress other than Nuhaka at the moment.
Can I just supplement to that, Chair? You're concentrating here. Good. Oh, I'm good at that. Oh no, that's good. So just to get that, so we're going as far as Wairau. So all the economics out of Gisborne, like the squash and stuff, not on the table anymore. So your report's going to be basically forestry and future industry in Wairau to our port. Is that right?
As a starting point.
Oh, is that a starting point?
Oh, that's why I said.
But your report's going to be based on that.
It is, yeah. I mean, at the moment, the only viable cargo available on that line is export logs to Napier now. Whilst there are some cargo opportunities in Gisborne, if the cost of reinstating the line from Wairau to Gisborne was $5 million, which is the sort of rough estimate, the capital cost on that would make, if you loaded that against the small volume available, would make it unviable at the moment.
And what about future crops that potentially could occur in Wairau? There's a lot of people looking around. There's the dream's been there for 20 years, but it might just come to reality.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, any rail service would be based on logs and would succeed or fail based on the log volume, as I see it. So if there were other cargo opportunities, it would be easy to bolt them onto a log service, but our log service is the only here and now cargo opportunity with any real volume from Wairau at the moment.
Mr. Bevan.
So we were supposed to get a proposal to KiwiRail by tomorrow. It's not going to happen, right? So can you explain to us whether you've actually applied for an extension, for how long, whether they're leaning favourably towards that, how long it'll be before we actually get to see the nuts and bolts of the proposal, because I'm assuming that we would see it and have to approve it before it goes in, because it'll involve expenditure. So it's the process from this point on that I'm concerned about.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor. So first of all, the extension was granted by KiwiRail to the end of March, which is tomorrow. We have, Nick and I met with one of the second-tier managers from KiwiRail last week, and we're discussing with him and another KiwiRail colleague, where we were at with it, but I explained that we would need to still go through a council decision-making process, obviously, and whatever you require of that. They understood that completely. What they are expecting by tomorrow is an indicative, a positive response back to them that council, it would be in the form of a letter that council supports the work that's been done to date and supports the bringing together of the final package and wants to be able to approve that package by, let's say, end of April. Let's say, give them a date. Because, they're as aware of any that even if we were to, by some miracle of process have given a decision tomorrow, or you were to have given a decision tomorrow, there would still be a number of months before any service would actually be up and running in practical terms. So, so they're pretty flexible about that. But what they really would like, I think, is an indication that you support the fact that acknowledge that the significant progress has been made, and support the fact that you still want to see a final proposal back to in front of you for your consideration.
Okay, so are we aware that if there are any other proposals that are on the table for consideration by them?
I understand there isn't.
Okay, Councillor Hewitt.
Thank you. I have two questions for you, Nick. The first one, the first point actually, I am supportive of any economic activity through to Wairau, hugely. My first question is, have you got an existing customer base that you're working with, given that I'm aware that PAMPAC is not interested? And then I'll come to my next question, which is a different point.
So the cargo forecasts that I've prepared are specific to like a combination of customers, which doesn't include PAMPAC.
Thank you. And given that, I mean, this is a bit of an interesting one where you've sat here and you've said you can't tell us anything, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But what I would need to see in a business case is that the health and safety aspects have been really, really thoroughly looked at when you look at some of those big bridges and all the nuts and bolts. So all I can do is flag that I'd like to be seeing that in there. Thank you.
We'll be issuing Nick with a spanner abseiling device. And overalls, yeah, of course, and a helmet. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, Councillor Gray.
I don't know how this is related, but I guess it is. Some time ago, maybe a month ago, we got, just through the post, this document about this new road that was originally proposed by a bunch of people that I know in Hastings, but seems to be picked up by a group of people that all had their names listed, and that's the alternative, I guess. We haven't really had an opportunity to discuss around here. So when you're doing your numbers, are you looking at those kind of alternative proposals? Because that road went up the rail link, didn't it?
Yeah, there has been an argument.
Yeah, have you read that document? Have you?
I haven't seen.
They produced a paper on it.
Can you just put your mic on? I have seen an outline of the proposal, but I haven't analysed it too much because of some conversations that I've had with Alan about his capacity in the Regional Transport Committee, and that sort of and KiwiRail have also indicated that that is not something that they're actively pursuing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could probably add to that by saying that NZTA and the Transport Committee are, contemporaneously looking at opportunities for improving the road access to, particularly to Wairoa. And there's some studies underway that will generate some outcomes a little later in the year, and they would largely revolve around passing opportunities, additional passing opportunities. Fenton might comment on some initiatives that have been taken with government that might, with luck, see some larger chunks of money for projects like bridging Waikari Gorge or whatever. I don't know whether you want to comment on that.
Well, yeah, I could. The Waikari Gorge discussion, same as the Matahora Gorge, was always sort of in a program, if you like, but of course was never any real money to do the job. I'm not sure how much design work or anything has been done. But the other proposal you put up, Rex McIntyre came and met with me last week in regard to that proposal. Well, he's sort of the proponent of it. And they haven't backed off, but they've said, look, we understand this is quite a big concept and a big deal. They're chasing an opportunity for some feasibility funding at the moment, just to actually put a bit more meat on the bones, if you like, whether it is actually going to work or not. He has also requested at some stage he gets in front of the council, so I'll make sure that happens, because it is a current conversation. However, my understanding of the Transport Committee is the priority or the preference at this stage is for rail in the corridor.
Well, getting State Highway 2 is as good as we can get it.
Yeah.
But being realistic about things. And getting rail to at least be able to carry a half of the additional log volumes that are going to come out of Wairoa in the next few years, and those volumes are immense, like about nearly 1.3 million tonnes additional to be carried within 3 to 4 years. Now that's and with rail, that we've been reasonably conservative and said, well, hopefully we can capture half of that, say 500,000 or 600,000 tonnes, which will require far more equipment being provided by KiwiRail than will be there at the outset. But even then, you're going to have, quick calculation, you're going to have nearly 7,000 additional annual log truck trips on State Highway 2 north of Napier. So we've got an immense problem without rail. Even with rail, we've still got a problem of some magnitude relating to heavy traffic congestion and safety on that rather dangerous route.
Councillor Barker.
Could I just respond to, as I understand, the alternative road proposal looks at taking the rail corridor and making a road out of it. And everybody I've spoken to or heard speak about this has missed two fundamental points. Firstly, I would bet half of anybody else's superannuation that that a large part of that rail link will be land which was taken by the Public Works Act. There's a very clear procedure when land is taken under the Public Works Act. What has to happen? It's long, it's lengthy, and people who had the land taken from them or their descendants under the Public Works Act are perfectly entitled to take it back. You only have to miss one section and the road is dead. The second thing which would have happened, undoubtedly, the land would have been gifted. And you can understand that when a rail is being proposed to go to Wairoa, many people have been approached. They have said, we're happy to give you the land for the rail corridor. Rail doesn't own it once it gives it up. It has to go back to the people who gifted it or their descendants.
Tangata whenua.
Tangata whenua. And my view of that is that this is almost inevitably, they're going to say, yes, we want our land back. Now, even if they didn't, this is a process that would take 5 to 10 years at least to get through. Let's be serious about this. There is a dreadful intersection down the road here going to the airport. It's been proposed for about 10 years to put a roundabout in. If we can't put a goddamn roundabout at Watchman Corner in under 10 years, how long do you think it's going to be before we can build an alternative road to Wairoa? Give me a break. It's
Five years.
We should have a roundabout at Watchman Road under construction by the end of this year. But
No, but my point's made, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's a roundabout.
We're getting off track on the rail. Any further comments? You can't. Yeah.
So I'll come back to Fenton and Liz by tomorrow close of play. And then the plan is that we will sit down and say, yes, we want to do a deal or we don't, and any deal would be subject to the council approval process. And KiwiRail are happy with that sort of length of time involved. So that all they said is that they want to know whether or not we want to proceed or not by the end of tomorrow. And as it stands right now, we're still haggling over numbers that would make a material difference as to whether or not we say yes or no. So
pretty clear.
If our meeting was on, absolutely, yeah. I think if we had our council meeting on Wednesday next week, I'll be sitting with a different set of notes in front of me. So I apologise for that, but it's just the timing of it.
So someone happy to remove that report?
I'll move.
Happy to move. Second, you wish to speak further? I'd just take a moment to thank Nick for, there's been some heavy lifting in here, and I know the goalposts have sort of been up and down the field a bit, but you've hung in there, you've given them a very coherent position from our end, and I wish you well in the next 24 hours. And sometimes these deals take till the 11th hour to close out, as you know. So
I think it's worth commenting that not only has he done extremely well in negotiating with KiwiRail and reducing their numbers significantly down to an economic level, but he has established a very, very good working relationship and indications of commitment from the forest owners and managers.
okay, thank you. I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. We're still waiting for Paul, are we?